So, welcome everybody back to the Bacon and Eggs podcast. This is episode 8. How's it going, guys?
Listen, El Ocho.
It feels like it's been an eternity, just because there was a big gap early on, a couple weeks ago, and I'm ready to go this week. I've been wanting to drop these questions. I picked the last one last minute just because I wanted to throw something a little bit more serious in there.
That was a good last question too.
I wasn't expecting this one.
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't expecting it either. It was I based it off of I got to work a little bit early. I jumped on, checked my emails. I got a Quora email. And, that Quora email, it was talking about homelessness and stuff, and I was like,
Spoiler alert!
It's alright. There's nothing about... There's no details there. It's going to be in the title of the podcast, and I got excited about the first two just because the last one was so, out of nowhere. So, you know what? How's your guys' weeks been? Tyler, how's your week been, man?
It's been good. I got a home, and I get to live there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
When are you guys actually closing on the house?
On the 25th, we don't get to move in until the preceding Monday.
Okay.
Okay,
well, that's coming up, though.
Yeah. The weekend after this one.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds cool.
That's awesome.
Awesome. That is really awesome, man. I'm super happy for you.
Hey, thanks, man.
Hunter?
How about you, Hunter? How you doing?
Yeah, how's it
Doing
going?
good, man. Staying busy with school and work, and now I get to do some freelance work for Tyler and his job, which is always fun.
Yeah.
Helping us out a lot. Also, you have the whitest teeth out of us. Like, mine is the least white. Alex's is mid-tier white, and yours is, like, fucking pearly white.
It's just all in the lighting. There's a light, like, right here, so of course it's going to be just...
I don't know.
You don't get whitened or nothing?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Wow. I need to experiment with lighting.
I guess that's the secret. So, I think that all around it's been a pretty good week. I think things seem to be going in a positive manner. And, I think that that's kind of a good segue to question one here because coming out of this weird era that we just came out of, this last year and a half, there was a whole lot of time spent alone to yourselves, to your own thoughts, and I like to daydream a whole lot. I think that it's something that I like to be able to imagine my future in different aspects of my life. Just closing my eyes or not even closing my eyes, just kind of drifting off. And, it gets me in trouble more often than not. But, that's what kind of led me to question one here. And I wanted to know, if you could live in an imaginary universe, what would it be and why? And I think that, you daydream and you picture yourself somewhere. And I kind of want to know where you picture yourself. And, Hunter, I think that I'd like for you to go ahead and start this one off, and what's your answer for this one?
So, I mean, all right. Let me just preface this by saying I'm a very huge nerd, so that but I'm like I love the whole fantasy aspect and stuff, and so my mind immediately went to like Lord of the Rings and like The Witcher and stuff like this. But then I got thinking even more, and I was like, those places are shit. I was like, they don't have like anything, I mean, just shit's always going down. And everything.
There's no video games.
I'd die immediately. Immediately, I'd die.
Yeah, I mean, it would be awful. It would be a living nightmare. So I kind of was thinking a little bit more, and of course, my inner child is like, oh, I want to be in the Star Wars world because that would be great. But then it wouldn't because, of course, I'd be blown up.
I'm sorry to interject, but do you remember playing Star Wars on PS2 at your house?
Of course I do.
Okay, cool, good. That just gave me flashbacks of that.
Was it Battlefront 1 or Battlefront 2?
Both.
Both, yeah.
Both, okay.
Both.
Yeah.
Dude, those were such solid games. My
I bought
nephew's
them
playing
for
the
PC
current
too.
ones.
Mm-hmm.
I
So good.
apologize for the interjection. That's a good
No,
one.
man.
That is okay.
Disney
But,
sponsor us.
Yes. But no, so with all that being said, I think the world that I would most like to live in would probably be like the Harry Potter world.
Awesome.
Just because,
Yeah.
I mean, you get all the modernness and everything, but I mean, there's this whole other twist to it and everything. I mean, that would
But-
be where I would like to be.
Time to change
you're
my
a squib.
answer.
Oh
What
no!
was that, Tyler?
I said, but you're a squib.
No, I'm not.
Who would you be in the Harry Potter universe? Be that?
Oh, I don't want to be any of them.
Well,
I
no,
just-
not who would you be, but like who would Hunter be?
Oh,
Would like
have
do you have
no
a
idea.
house picked out? Would you attend Hogwarts?
okay.
Would you-
So yeah, of course I would.
Okay,
I
thank you.
did take the test, and I didn't cheat. You know, I didn't go baiting answers and stuff, and I did get Gryffindor. Just gonna throw that
What?
out there, even though
You're a
Caleb
liar.
swears I'd be a Hufflepuff.
You're such a liar. You're such
I'm
a
not
liar.
a liar. No, I'm not a liar.
I'm a Hufflepuff, and I'm a
I'm
proud
a Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff because I tell the truth.
Kayla got Ravenclaw.
Tiffany's
I got
Ravenclaw.
Gryffindor. Yeah. But yeah,
Gryffindor
we're
are
all-
liars. Liars,
you-
all of them.
Get the OG. I wonder if anyone out there got Slytherin. I've never met anyone who is like a proud Slytherin.
Hey,
So-
Kyle. Hey, Kyle. Kyle.
Ooh.
Kyle, I know for sure that you got Slytherin. I was there when you took the test. You took it
Ooh.
honestly, and
Shit.
you had a smile on your face the entire time. Kyle's a Slytherin.
Damn. Scumbag Kyle.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I saw Kyle. Shout out to Kyle, by the way.
Yeah.
Kyle posted, I think it was on Twitter, saying something to the effect that he wanted to quit his job, and I don't know what he does outside of the army, but I know that he's also in the army. And Kyle, if you're trying to quit the army, that's called desertion. Don't do that. That's not a good move.
That's not what it is, man.
Okay, cool. Well, if you do want to quit your job, then quit your job. It's a great employment market right now. Come down to where we're at and come hang out.
No, he sells his body for the maintenance field, and it's not necessarily army related. So
He has an OnlyFans for the maintenance field. Just got wrenches dangling off his nipples.
it's like the fireman one, but for lot lizards.
Oh my god.
Shout out to lot lizards. It's fine. You know, you're able to do whatever you want to, whatever makes you happy. All right.
That's
So.
right.
Honestly, Harry Potter was my answer for question 1, and so I'm gonna go ahead and tweak my answer a little bit. But Tyler, you know, I think that we all go straight to fantasy worlds and stuff. Some of us go to video games, and so I'm excited to know which direction you took this one.
So I did consider RuneScape initially, but before I do my reveal, just another quick question to throw at Hunter. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because I considered Harry Potter because obviously it's a big part of the age that we grew up.
Yeah.
I did not end up going with Harry Potter, but Gryffindor is a knowing your house is a very important part of it. But you're an adult now, so as an adult, what would your profession be in your Harry Potter universe? I'm very interested. Are you gonna be the basic aura, or are you gonna be
See, I
the
don't think I
librarian?
would be an auror. I don't know enough of the wizarding professions to say. I mean, I can't just be like, oh, I'd be a mechanic or a machinist because it takes all the fun out of it.
No, you could. You could think about spells that you could use to be a machinist. That would be.
But then
better.
that just takes the fun out, though. I actually like building things and doing things with my hands and everything. So if I'm just like,
Yeah,
you
yeah, that's
it's
true.
just, it's not
So-
fun anymore.
You could be a
I think
wand crafter.
that-
You don't use magic for that.
Yeah, exactly. You could be.
That's
But
working.
they stockpile them, and they're like super ancient. They're super, you see them on Diagon
Yeah.
Alley.
I don't know. Maybe I'd nerd out even more. I'd be the person that actually builds and creates spells or something.
Yeah, like Luna Lovegood's mom.
Yeah.
That's how she died, or her dad too.
Mm-hmm.
She died by getting crushed by a bull or something. I'm pretty sure that's
Yeah.
how it worked.
So the reason why I wanted to, Harry Potter's a really awesome one, and I wanted to bring up the fact that there's not like a really good Harry Potter game. And the world that I would want to be in is also the game that I would create if I were able to create a Harry Potter game. Would be like a RPG, free roaming Harry Potter game where you put in your own attributes and stuff. It picks your house, and then you're able to pick your classes and stuff based on that, on your interests. And it would take place like, I don't know, 10, 15 years before Harry Potter even, was there or around. So you would just be able to explore and take place in the entire castle, like a full-on RPG style version
it's almost
of it.
like what was it? Star Wars. It was one of the early Star Wars games where like you could go to like Mos Eisley and like you were
And make your own lightsaber and that sort of thing.
Right, like it was like
Right.
a huge RPG and stuff, but basically that, but Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I feel like they have teased that sort of thing. It just hasn't lived up to what they
Yeah.
tried to tease.
Did you
But everyone
guys
wants
ever
that.
play? Did you ever play any of the early Harry Potter games? Like
Yeah.
PS2, I had it was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
I've never played any Harry Potter games ever.
That
Yeah,
one was actually
I've played a
pretty
couple
good.
of them.
I mean, that one being early and everything, it was still like you could actually free roam the castle. At one point, you finally get your broomsticks. So when you go outside, you can fly around wherever you want to and stuff. You can fly around the whole castle, and I mean, it's
That's
still, of course, it's story driven and everything, but you still have the option to go where you want to go and stuff.
Yeah, I just want to be a side character that you can just experience classes normally. And not have to worry about the actual craziness of the lore. I mean, you still have to deal with some creatures and stuff, But
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the world that I would like to live in as far as the Harry Potter world. I don't want to interact with Harry Potter and all that because that's crazy.
Right.
I don't want to be the hero. I just want to experience, the lifestyle of what that would be like.
Right.
Learning spells and learning potions and exceeding in different fields, just like what we're doing in our life, just in the magic realm. That would be insane to really
for
comprehend.
Sure. Like, I don't want to be Harry Potter. Like, I mean, that would be nuts. That's an awful life. He was just depressed and it was sucky. But yeah, if I could just be like there, that'd be gold.
Right.
So, one off on the Harry Potter. I hope I'm not going down a hole with Harry Potter because this is a good. I like Harry Potter conversation.
We're not even that far in, man.
Okay.
We can talk
Yeah.
about Harry Potter for a little bit.
Cool.
Well, I mean,
Favorite
you still haven't
character.
given your whole answer yet, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't given my answer at all. I'm indulging in the Harry Potter. Who's the best character in Harry Potter, in your opinion? Both of you.
Wow, that's a whole question in itself, man. Jeez.
I know you're gonna say Neville.
Yeah, I am gonna say Neville. He's the most complex character. If you read the books, he's not necessarily
The lore.
portrayed.
Yeah, the lore about him. He was the
The chosen
chosen one, man.
Right.
He's Neo.
Okay. I'll start on this one, on this little side question, but Neville's shit is dark. It is really dark, especially in the Order of the Phoenix when he goes to visit his parents in the hospital ward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, man, it's really dark.
it really is, man.
And I'm pretty sure he fucks Luna at one point. It's crazy. I read a lot of erotic novels about Harry Potter, so. And did you know that Neville's gay? It was steamy.
Wow. Okay.
It's the perfect month for it. Neville, hello, come forth. He's a hunk now.
Shout out to Bo Burnham with his. Have you seen his comedy special? I'm so sorry for the taste.
I've
I
seen
can't.
Like half of it.
No, I can't watch it, man. It's too emotional for me. I gotta.
It is very
I gotta wait.
emotional.
Yeah,
I have
for
to
sure.
wait. I've got to wait because I've got to do it in the right setting, or else I'm not gonna experience it how I'm supposed to experience it. I'm
Yeah.
a little bit too fulfilled right now to experience the emptiness that it's supposed to instill.
It's
I've
a
got to
trip.
do it in small bits, small doses.
Yeah.
It'll put you in a dark place, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, art is supposed to invoke some sort of emotion. That's how I feel. So I think.
I mean,
it succeeds.
kudos to him because he absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
Dude,
And,
he's so
It
good.
really, he really is, and it really makes me wonder, was he doing this actually in this headspace, or was he just creating this? Is this actually something that he was actually going through, or is he creating this just to invoke the emotion?
I think that it's probably somewhere in between, right? He uses the extravagance of art to to mimic how he feels, and it's probably if you can take something from any different little portion of it, then that's probably what he's trying to invoke. But in himself, it's really hard to say. He'd have to come out explicitly and tell you how he felt about it, but I would say that it's probably pretty close to the source of what you're taking and what you're given from it, but it's hard to say.
I just want
completely.
to reach out and say, Bo, are you okay?
Are you all right, man? I love you.
That's something that I've loved about Bo Burnham is like the stark duality of like, oh, he's a comedy singer, very lighthearted, very jovial, and then you've got songs like "Art Is Dead." You've got "Can't Handle This Right Now" from his later show, where it's like really dark and he's really real about his mental issues, and so it would be disappointing to find out that was all an act, and that
it would be,
but I'd also be impressed, I guess.
It'd be very impressive. It'd be disappointing, but it also it would make me feel better just because I don't want him to be going through this,
So I've reached my limit for tangents, and I apologize, guys, but I'll give my answer now. If I could be in any fictional universe, is what I've construed the question to be, it's got to be. It kind of ties into the. Well, let me scoot over a little bit so I'm in the frame. Kind of ties into my what superpower would you be? Is always, I love the movie Jumper. Love it, super love it.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, it is Samuel L. Jackson, isn't it? The Paladin.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and Hayden Christensen.
Yeah,
dude. And that lady, she was kind of famous, but I don't know what her name is.
I feel bad.
My favorite, because of that movie, my favorite superpower is teleportation. I would hope, if you just got to drop into a universe and your role is selected as random, that would kind of suck, because it's super rare to be either of the main classes of people. But if I could be a jumper in that universe, that'd be fucking awesome. It'd be really. You get hunted down by super religious zealots who want to kill you, but that's also the history. So,
would you do modern time then, right now?
Yeah, Jumper is filmed in I think it's 2010.
Well, I didn't know if that's the one that you'd like to choose, or go an Assassin's Creed version and do Egyptian time jumping, or something cool like that. You could see what's going on at the Earth.
Way crazier.
That'd be so crazy.
To think of ancient Egyptians who knew how to teleport and be like, holy fuck, now I'm with Native Americans. This is weird. Where am I? Is this another planet? Is this another?
You'd have to go high elevations every time.
They'd think they were time traveling or something. Because the rules in Jumper is you couldn't teleport there unless you'd been there.
Right. You have to be able. You had to imagine it and actually.
I figured if you're a super genius, you could teleport through time now, but you only can choose it one time. You choose in a certain era, and you can take these photographs with you that you've already taken. They're pretty close. They're close enough that it's gonna pick it up in this modern or this super crazy different ancient time.
They took on a Jumper 2 that they were supposed to make. Money was spent. Part of it was filmed, I believe, and it did explore time travel, and I think it's based off of books, maybe? I've never read the books, but I would be down.
I like the idea of that. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. I do like that answer, though, man. Jumper's pretty awesome. I do like that movie a lot. It makes me wish that I could just pop anywhere at any time. It really does.
It'd be awesome. And
I cannot tell you guys how many times I tell Kayla, man, I wish teleportation was a thing.
Yeah.
I could be like a Uber service. If I was the only jumper, I would be for $1,000, I'll jump you wherever you need to go according to my lodestones that I have.
I don't even think it would be like that for maybe the first time, or you could just steal some stuff,
See, something I didn't get with the Jumper universe. Yeah, they stole money from banks, but the whole Paladin Jumper dichotomy that the Paladins hunt down these people because they believe that they're gods, they're too powerful, all crumbles if one Jumper goes mainstream and says, hey, this is what I can do. There's a lot of people who can do this, actually. Then you're just a person who can teleport, and now you've got people are gonna, you're going to be a superstar, you're going to be a celebrity. If someone kills you, it's going to be a big deal. and then you
Yeah,
gotta
and if you
topple this
disappear,
whole-
it's going to be super crazy. And
Yeah.
there's multiple. Yeah, you're right. That's a pretty good idea.
you just
Damn.
jump into a CNN interview one time, and you're like, oh, by the way, tons of people can do this, and like, there's some big old scary dudes chasing me with Ken knives, and they'd be like, what?
So what's the lore behind how to be able to be a jumper?
Just genetic ability. Was it genetic?
So you just got to make some babies with them, right?
Maybe it was just a random mutation that occurred.
I think it was.
Okay.
Because both of his parents were not jumpers. Because his mom was a paladin, and his dad was just some loser who also is Yanu from
Oh.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah.
Yeah. That's his dad. Yeah.
Jeez.
Also, what happened to Hayden Christensen? Is he dead? Does he do anything?
I don't know.
You don't do anything,
He's so
Anakin.
good. He's so good looking. Where'd he go?
I know, right?
The hate
I don't know,
consumed
man.
him. He lost the high ground. He lost his arms.
Maybe he's doing stuff and we're just ignorant. I don't know. Let's search his IMDb right after this, and we'll figure it out.
Maybe he's pulling a not a Bryan Cranston, a Frankie Muniz.
I don't know,
Oh.
but if we're gonna get any future interviews with Mr. Christensen, then
It's almost
Just
inevitable at this point.
yeah, come on, man, you're not doing anything else. Ah, crap.
We are manifesting this. Hayden Christensen. When you see
Come on.
this, hear this. Come on.
Come on,
We are
man.
cordially inviting you. You don't have to be scared to call us now because we are inviting you. So please.
We will give you the high ground.
Listen, I love everything that you've been in. I don't hear enough people talk about you. Honestly, if you want to come interview with us, it would. I can't pay you a dime, but you could do it for fun. I assume that you have a little bit of open time here recently. You don't
fucking
have
loser.
to. I didn't say that, man. Listen, I've got open time. Let's do it. All right. So, I like both of those answers, and I'm just gonna be somewhere in between on that. I'm gonna be in the Harry Potter universe, I think, or my first thought was also Lord of the Rings, but then I was like, man, I don't know enough about Lord of the Rings. Do I have infinite knowledge when I go there? Because then, sure, I'll be okay. But if not, I'm dying as soon as I drop in, because I'm going to drop in, not know where anything is, and then I'm going to die when I try and eat the very first thing that I pick up. So,
Oh, man, be a hobbit and just eat breakfast all day. It'd be awesome.
if I could live a Hobbit lifestyle, that's the one that I would choose. The Hobbit lifestyle that was like in between Bilbo and Frodo's adventures. There was a lot of fun and a lot of talk, but there wasn't a whole lot of action. I think you could enjoy yourself very much so in between the two.
So your answer is that you would be between Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and Jumper, or
So my answers, I'm gonna go ahead and drop myself right there at that Hobbit location. I was hoping that I would just find my answer along the way.
dude, the
Just
Hobbit ones
because-
are cool as hell.
Yeah,
they
I
are.
think that living, because it's, I've always wanted to go to New Zealand ever since ever since I was, old enough to see it in National Geographic or even see it in the behind the scenes of the Lord of the Rings. And I was like, man, and then to find out that they have like the whole set there, you can go and see it. And man, if they turn that into like a place you could stay or replicate it somehow, but my answer would be drop me right there in a very safe era where I can just be jolly and live happily amongst the other hobbits.
Yeah, but Mr. Frodo's gonna fuck you up, and now you're gonna have to like back his ass up and be Sam. Full disclosure.
I don't even have to interact with them, honestly.
Full disclosure, I have never seen a single Lord of the Rings all the way through, but my love.
You've seen The Hobbit, those.
I read The Hobbit.
Okay, well, that's close.
No.
So my
no,
love.
this is not good enough.
Okay, I got it. My love of George R.R. Martin's world building, which is obviously extremely derivative of Tolkien's, leads me to believe that maybe I never gave Tolkien.
He doesn't quite do it. He doesn't quite do it justice.
Derivative of Tolkien is the original world builder, the original storyteller.
For the Lord of the Rings, it's pretty dang close. But for The Hobbit, it fell pretty short. Too much CGI. It is what it is. But man, the Lord of the Rings were really good, and they're a big part of my childhood. The extended editions, man, you can make an entire day out of it. Just like 10 hours of nothing but Lord of the Rings, and if you want to watch the a little bit of the behind the scenes, you can turn it into like a 14-hour day easily. And I love that, and I've done it multiple times. I try and watch through them every single year, and I think that it would be a fun universe to be a part of. But I think that if I were dropped there, I would want to be able to I don't want to explore and get myself into any danger, but I'd like to know about the lore going on, right? I'd like to still investigate, because I think my own interests would, get me in trouble.
Where do you think Middle Earth is modern day? Let's say 200 years has passed since the end of the events in Lord of the Rings. Are they modernized? Does it look pretty similar to what we have right now?
No.
You don't think so? You think Middle Earth is still...
Middle Earth would be like World War II, right? I'm pretty sure that that's what J.R.R. Tolkien based it on.
Really?
World War I, sorry.
Why do you think that?
I'm pretty sure that he based it on him when he was in the war. They had that whole movie about him where he was in the war, and his battle buddy ended up being Sam, and in the movie or in the book, all that.
So he was Frodo?
It talks about a little bit of his history as far as being in the military goes, and how he based the book off of it, a little bit of the world off of it, and the craziness, the invasions and all that.
I had no idea Tolkien was in the military.
Yeah, I didn't know either. That's really cool.
Yeah, you should look up on him. He's very interesting, and I think he deserves the recognition for it, because the director and all of the movie gets a lot of credit for our generation. The books are really hard to read. The Hobbit's really easy, but the Lord of the Rings series it's difficult to read. It's so detailed. I've read through it multiple times, but it is very difficult to read through. And all of the other books that cover the Lord of the Rings lore, those are even harder to read, like the Silmarillion, and then the one that came after it. They're difficult, and it goes through like all of the prehistory to the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit and all that, or vice versa. But yeah. So anyway, that whole we really did go way off, didn't we? I love it. That's why I love these questions, because these are the universes that I'd love to fall into, but it scares me, because you're like, what are the consequences of falling into a place like this? Not knowing enough, or thinking you know too much, or something like that. And so, I think that's a good way to get to question 2 here. And I think that daydreaming leads you to dreaming, and I'm talking about the sleepy time melatonin version of dreaming. I'm talking like hard, nice REM sleeping, dreaming, and you are in a different world. It's the most insane thing. There's not really any scientific reasoning to dreaming whatsoever. It's a very strange thing. You just hallucinate for a couple hours, and feels like a minute, or the other way around. It's very quick, and it's strange. But I want to know, Tyler, I'm going to let you lead this one off. Nice. But I'd like to know, do you dream? And if you do dream, are there any that you've had that you've woken up and it's stuck with you for a really long time? And that could be a night terror, or an adventure dream, or you're in a different world, or you're experiencing a scenario in your own life that's reflective in some way. I'd just like to know, what is the one that stuck with you the most?
Okay, that's it. So there's you threw me off because when you said one that stuck with me the most, that'd be from like back in childhood when I was like way young. But normally I don't remember my dreams. I've been dreaming or sleeping every night, most when I'm lucky, for the past 27 years. But I don't dream that much anymore. I had a recurring nightmare when I was like 5 that one of my family members had drowned in a pool. And for some reason, I never had any family members drown in a pool. Like, it wasn't some weird, crazy prophecy, creepy thing. But a very, very specific nightmare that I would have all the time. And it wasn't even a family member that I'd seen often because I don't...
Can I ask which family member this was?
It was Aunt Regina. And this is whenever I was like 5 years old, so I like never saw them. Yeah, it was
Is
weird.
Aunt Regina gonna hear this?
She's old.
No.
She don't care. But,
But
it's the wife
what?
of. It's the wife of.
Maybe it only became prophecy when we talked about it now.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Nope.
So,
That's not the right dream.
I am named after my dad's uncle, and his wife is Aunt Regina. And unfortunately, I don't have a solid relationship with them. I haven't really talked to them much at all throughout my whole life. But if for some reason I always had that recurring nightmare as a child. But that is not the story I intended to tell whenever I saw this question. And I guess I'll do a double take on that. But I recently had surgery to remove a kidney stone. And for some reason, the most vivid dream I've ever had in my life, probably. Because I was nervous about anesthesia. I'd never had anesthesia before. And so when I went to sleep, I had the dream that I woke up while I was on the operating table, which is something that I've heard happens to people. I was pretty nervous about it. But in the process of the dream, Tiffany was like in the operating room with me and said, "Don't worry, it's just a dream." And I was like, "Oh, awesome." And so in my head, I was having an insanely vivid dream, like so vivid I knew everything that was around me.
Yeah,
And-
man.
and
That's
I
so
could-
sick.
But your subconscious told yourself like this is a dream.
Yeah, and then not only that, but in the dream, I assumed that Dream Tiffany was like connected to
There with
real
calling
Tiffany,
you.
who is in this operating room, and I knew that she was actually talking to me, and that I was dreaming, and that it wasn't me actually in the operating room. And so I was aware of all my surroundings on 2 different levels. On my dream surroundings, I knew everything there, which was extremely vivid, and I was pointing out stuff, and I was like, "But this lamp is so vivid, are you sure?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's just a dream. You're okay. And I also knew everything that was around me in my room at home. So it was a really weird experience.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. That's just lucid dreaming.
I'd never
It's
done it
so
before.
sick.
ever.
It's so sick, man.
That's where you gotta just you gotta break out. Like you just gotta go do something.
Yeah.
No, it was very boring. I was like, all right, this is my dream. Still drill into my dick hole. This is what I dream. Do it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that is my answer.
So that is your answer. Okay. Well, that's a pretty memorable dream. Let's be honest here.
Sorry, Aunt Regina. Don't die. Stay away from pools.
So Hunter, are you a dreamer? Do you fall asleep at night and wander off into
Is your heart of gold?
some crazy
Yes.
land, some reoccurring place? How
So-
is the dream life for you?
I found that I only ever dream, and this is like legit. I only dream
When you
if I'm
smoke
asleep
crack.
on my back.
Oh.
or the crack thing, that too. But no,
Really?
if I sleep on my back, that's the only time I'll ever dream. But now that Tyler told his story, I got a quick double header real quick.
Go for it, man.
So, one that I remember really well is like one of the very few times where I actually was aware that I was dreaming, and like in my dream, I'm like out in a field somewhere, and I don't know why or how I realized, but I was like, "Hey, I'm dreaming," and I was like, I'm gonna fly.
You
So, like,
lucky. The ultimate lucid dream.
No, it was not lucky at all.
Oh,
So
no.
like somehow I get like into this like prone flying position where I'm like parallel to the ground, almost like Supermaning, and I was like, all right, I'm about to take off. Well, it doesn't go like this. All of a sudden, I just start like flipping out of nowhere, and like I have
This is
zero
terrible.
control. I have zero control at all, and I land in like a really fast moving river where like I'm like drowning and like I can't get to the surface at all, and like at that point I like wake up like panting and sweating and stuff, and it was
Oh no, man.
yeah, it was awful.
That's a pretty sick dream though, up until the the crash
Right.
landing.
You wake up and you're like,
I mean,
I'm never
I was
gonna try
hovering
to.
for a second.
You're like, I'm never gonna try to
Yeah.
fly. Never. It's terrible.
Nope. I was so psyched. I was like, I'm gonna fly, and then like I said, it was just boom, just.
Why does this feel like a modern day Icarus story? You flew too close to the sun and now all your feathers melted.
Yeah, exactly. It was
Uh.
too powerful. It's the most memorable of them all.
That's right.
So, what is? So you said that that's a little offshoot or branch to the actual memorable one. What is the most memorable one then?
Okay, so
Because that was a pretty good one.
That was just connected to like Tyler's whole lucid dreaming thing, but like the one that's actually stuck with me the longest and has really always been there. Well, I mean, luckily I don't have it anymore, thank God. But it was when I was like 3 or 4 years old. It was the first time I had this dream. I was like 3 or 4 years old, and okay, I remember the day that like prompted this dream. So I was at my granny's house, and my brother was out. They had a garage that they turned into a room. They walled it up and everything. And there's a TV out there. So my brother's out there watching a movie. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen Ernest Scared Stupid.
I have, yeah. Oddly
I don't
enough,
know if I have.
we watch Ernest movies a lot. I'm assuming Granny is your grandma that we don't share.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Ernest Scared Stupid is a movie about what's his name, Jim Varney.
The one who plays Ernest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Jim Varney, and he's just he's this wacky, crazy guy, and somehow or another, trolls come into the movie, and they're just these ugly, awful, evil creatures that are turning kids into dolls so that like he can get their power and make more trolls. And this scarred me. I mean, it scarred me for years. I had this nightmare for years that trolls were chasing me, and like the thing was, it wasn't always the exact same dream, but like it would be a dream where trolls are present and they're trying to get me. And so like I remember some where like there was, I think I was like 8 or 9, and there was a cute girl that I liked, and I had a dream that like we were like hanging out or something, and then out of nowhere like a troll just eats her, and like I'm just like running away, and like
And that's
it
when
fucked me up.
he became
Dude.
gay. And it was a really big moment for him.
I finally
sounds like
realized
one
at
of-
some point that I could wake myself up by falling into a deep hole. And so like just a deep hole would appear.
Fall your
I'm
way
like,
out.
all right, I'm going in.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
man.
crazy.
Yeah.
That is a really awesome way to escape. It sounds like one of the old Goosebumps books
Yeah,
that
yeah.
got turned into an episode. Like, it reminds me of like the Oatmeal Man commercial, the Quaker Oats man that made you age really old. But man, those old ones that are like that stem from like little actual scary moments that leak into your dreams and stuff. That is always the worst situation. So is that your answer then? The trolls
Yeah.
then, right?
That's my answer. Because like I
stuck
said,
with you for
that
so
had me
long.
for years.
Yeah, man. I can imagine so. So I guess I'll go ahead and answer really quick. I don't think that we've gone too far in time here.
Yeah,
So
we're good.
I like this question a lot because I am what I call a serial dreamer, and it's I dream way too much. I remember so many freaking dreams from when I was growing up, and I dream, I remember like 2 or 3 a night. It's insane. I lucid dream, once or twice a week, and I used to get really bad sleep paralysis and stuff. And it used to be triggered by sleeping on my back. It would be like an old crone that would walk from the corner of my room, crawl up on top of me, and hold my chest down. And I wouldn't be able to breathe, and I would eventually wake up out of it. And I wouldn't wake up because I'd already be awake, but I would my body wouldn't be asleep anymore.
Right.
And that doesn't happen anymore now that I sleep on my stomach, and I've been having pretty good dreams here as of late. And man, it's a hard question, honestly. I like your guys' answers though, because they both correlate to the whole lucid dreaming thing, and I've been doing it for a long time, and being able to sort of control a dream or notice when notice that it's a dream, that's like, it almost feels like a superpower, sort of. And because it's a whole world that you're able to live in. And I noticed from like a young age that I could not super heavily manipulate my dreams, but I could just naturally, I would remember so many of them. And like some of your situations, my real life stuff would leak into it. And I remember my very first scary dream that I had, and I was young. I mean, I was probably like 5, and I remember it, and it was terrifying. I remember it to a T. I walked into my bedroom at the time, and I opened up the door, and all of my toys and everything were just floating in a circle around the room, and I just like walked in. And I walked in, but I couldn't control my body. And then, I wanted to just go hide under the bed. And as I got closer to the bed, the room kept getting darker and darker and darker. And so, but I was so scared in the middle, I didn't know which one to choose. And it was terrifying. And I remember waking up and having to go crawl into bed with my mom and dad.
Dude, that's trippy.
That one is like my first scary dream that I ever had. And I think that, that it's not really real life falling into my, but I was in my house walking around. I just felt so real. And so it's hard to look back and think of the most memorable one, but I'm gonna have to go with the scariest dream that I ever had, because it started me on a path of being curious about dreaming. And so I was probably 7 or 8 at the time, and my family took a impromptu trip to Gatlinburg. We were going to go to Dollywood, so we were in Sevierville and Gatlinburg and that whole area, and we were going to go to Dollywood, and we did, and it was awesome. And we stayed at this hotel. It was pretty cool, and we got these cots, and I remember I just felt uncomfortable there for some reason, and I was sleeping, and I had this dream that I was stuck in a hotel. And it was a very scary, spooky hotel to a 7 or 8 year old. Think like The Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy. That's exactly what was happening. But it was scary to me because my parents felt it was like some sort of attraction. What happened is, in real life, I saw on the pamphlet that there was like a Ripley's Haunted House walkthrough, and that freaked me out. I was like, I can't do that. That's so scary to me. And so it leaked into it, I guess. And so this haunted place, it was just super spooky. You walked in, and there was butlers as soon as you drive in. For some reason, we had to trade off into like an old Cadillac, and we were driving to the entrance, and it got taken over. It just started driving itself, and then we walk in, and we have to sign. But when we signed, my dad grabbed the pen, and it stabbed his thumb, and it was bleeding. And when he wrote, it was in red, and he wrote his name in the room and whatever. And then we tried to leave that hotel, and it was we couldn't leave. There was always some sort of obstruction that would stop us from being able to leave this hotel. And so eventually we just started walking around this hotel and seeing what all it offered, and it didn't offer anything. It was just super scary, and we all kept getting lost by ourselves, and it was the most terrifying ever. The terrifying experience ever. It just felt like you were super lost and you couldn't get out. And come to find out, we finally made it to the edge, and we were about to all walk out as a family, and to leave, you have to you have to die. They have to kill you, and that's the only way that you're able to escape, and that's you're just stuck there forever now because you signed this hotel thing. I'm like 8 years old. This is the scariest thing ever, and it was super in depth. I remember it, and it was thinking back at it. I'm like, man, that made me so scared of haunted houses and all sorts of things for my entire life now.
Do you ever think about that whenever you accept terms and agreements of your Apple operating software?
Yeah, man. Honestly,
Would.
I don't trust anyone at Apple. Sorry.
Fine, Brent.
Unless you want to sponsor us, then I trust
We'll
you.
do anything, big boy.
Thumbprint.
Dude, that sounds.
That's-
aspect. Sorry, go ahead, Hunter.
I was gonna say that sounds terrifying, and for you to be like 8 years old and coming up with
Yeah,
this
man.
like super complex, you know.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I woke up in this scary hotel floor, confused, looking at the AC unit and a bed sheet on the other side. It was just like I couldn't move. I was scared, and then I like woke my dad up because he's right here. I was laying on the cot beside the bed, and he was like, "Go back to bed. You're fine."
Dude, certain aspects of this sound a little bit like stress nightmares that I've had. It's like the
Yeah, man.
the futility of
yeah.
like striving to reach a goal and just it always being out of reach. That's like the sort of stress nightmares that I'm used to having.
Yeah, dude, it's insane. It feels like you're so out of control, and I think that's what makes it such a hard dream to deal with.
Yeah.
And that's just my most memorable, I think, based on the fact that it made me scared to have nightmares. I mean, my entire life I'm scared to have nightmares because I don't have them very often anymore, luckily. But it still terrifies me, honestly. And I like that we all, you know, you guys, there's some people who can't dream, and that freaks me out. So I'm glad that you guys have experience with dreaming. There's people who literally, they don't remember dreams, they don't, you know, they just live, they go to sleep, they wake up, and that,
Yeah.
I don't know, that's super foreign to me. I don't understand that very much.
Now you brought up the point of sleep paralysis for a second there.
Yeah, man.
I've had that one time, and it was like the worst thing ever. And it was so weird. Again, it happened when I was laying on my back. Of course, this is I don't know. I guess I just feel more vulnerable when I'm laying on my back versus any other position.
Because your dick
It's
is
the
out.
jugular,
Your
man.
dick is straight out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It
exactly.
could be clapped.
Somebody could walk in
That's not
and
the
see
audio
you
clap,
have a
Tyler.
boner.
Don't get tricked.
Cut the audio right there, right there.
But yeah, no, I mean, just all that stuff is super, super terrifying. A lot of the nightmares that I have, if I have nightmares anymore, it's just like, I don't even know, like,
Dude,
because, I mean, you were talking in yours, it wasn't necessarily that there was, like, things chasing you or anything. It was just, it was a really scary place to be in and stuff. And, of course, the whole dying
Yeah.
thing.
It was very ambient, and I knew that it was so wrong, and the wrongness came from the fact that I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
dude,
Yeah. A lot of what I have nightmares about is like I will literally like have nightmares of just like a being of like pure evil, like almost to like biblical proportions and stuff, and that's what like freaks me out like the most.
You think that that's from your childhood?
I don't necessarily know. I mean, I
you're
don't
like,
have
let's not
anything
unpackage
I
that
can,
today.
like- I don't know like what I
That's
could
what these
pin it
questions
to
are
or
about.
anything.
I gotcha.
I have no idea. I think, well, honestly, like, the thing that I'm most afraid of, I think, in, like, you know, life is I'm afraid of, like you know, because I've said before, like, I don't know what I believe and stuff, whether it be, like, the Bible and things like that, you know, when it comes to religion and everything, but some of the stuff that freaks me out the most is, like, that kind of biblical evil and stuff like that, and, like, if that stuff does exist, like that really does freak me out. And talking about like demons and things like that, like I don't like that stuff. I don't mess with that stuff, and I think that's what goes into my dream when I have nightmares. Is that's like my biggest fear.
I think that dark evil energy just everyone feels it. They don't know exactly what causes it, and you kind of derive it from different places. And you know, for me, it's my Christianity background and current beliefs, it feels dark, evil intentions. If stuff feels intentionally dark or ill mannered, I guess I don't know. I feel it. I feel it really heavily, and I can tell that it feels that way, sort of. And I'm not saying that I have a sense for it or anything. I'm just saying that some things feel targeted to me in a not so good way, and whether that's just my natural instincts or something spiritual.
You'd be spear bending, like Korra from the Legend of Korra.
Yeah, man, Korra. That's exactly what it is.
I'm not really picking up on the biblical evil type deal.
Well, I think that what it is if it's not specifically, if they're not actually meaning something biblical, then what were they meaning in place of that? If it was a natural disaster or something that actually happened that wasn't actually these demons or some kind of crazy fight that happened, what happened and what are they trying to say? Because it's so in depth that it's really hard to say that it's, if it's all fake, then it's a really good story, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of the things correlate historically to up to some point. So
the biblical aspect isn't what I'm talking, just the
right.
Overwhelming, unadulterated evil that I mean, I've never even thought. I like to think that I'm a very empathetic person. I will get very overwhelmed by thinking of the terrible things that can happen in the world, the terrible things that people do, but I've never thought of like an ominous evil, and like I've never thought about that. So it's a thought experiment to try to sit here now and think about it.
Right, and I guess for me it's like I said, I don't know what I'm believing and stuff, but like in my head, like if this is true and there are beings like this, like that's just terrifying. It really is, and to have that, like I said, just a being of pure evil that is possibly there. That
I mean,
scares me.
The thing is, we only understand energy to a certain point, and it can only be destroyed down to a certain, it can't be.
No, it can't be destroyed.
It's not created or destroyed. That's not how it works. So, who knows how it works on a quantum level? It's hard to say, and maybe there's some crazy stuff that leaks through that makes, perpetual, some kind of perpetual world that's parallel to ours, but in a different where there's crazy monsters that roam. I don't know. Right? There's infinite universes, so I mean we don't understand energy. Maybe it's that. Is that too crazy of like a high thought?
No, I'm here for it.
No, I don't think so. One thing that like blows
It's just
my
fun
mind,
to think about.
Yeah. Something that like I have a hard time wrapping my head around is like thinking about like Norse mythology and stuff. You've got like Odin and all those sets of gods, but like as a Christian, when you think of God, you're thinking as like the ultimate, the high power, like from the beginning to the end, like that is the God. But in Norse mythology, the gods were more of almost like, I don't want to say race because they were more than a race, but like it was almost like a race that was higher than people, but
yeah,
like
their actions directly influenced what was going on with the universe.
Right, but they also weren't like the most powerful beings, because like looking at Norse mythology, you had the gods, and it was always the gods versus the giants.
The Titans was the
right.
Is that what you're talking about? Giants, or
no? I think Titans was with Zeus and stuff in Greek mythology.
Yeah. So
Norse is giants. So you've got giants versus the gods in that sense.
Oh, I'm confused then.
And yeah. Well, I mean, just the thing for me is like, so you had the gods versus giants, and giants could kill gods, and it's hard thinking of them as not like just the highest being, the highest power, and able to do anything with the snap of a finger, and kind of relating that back to Christianity. It's like, maybe we've gotten the kind of wrong idea, maybe I don't know. Is it maybe they aren't?
Alex is gone. And he's like, actually, guys,
Oh, you're good.
fuck you.
Did you just question the Bible? What?
My low battery thing came up in the perfect time.
No, it's something that's hard to wrap my head around is taking a god down off its pedestal and putting it into, you know.
The MCU does it pretty
relating
well,
it.
though, when they give you Fat Thor. That was good.
that was
I related
pretty
with
good.
Fat Thor. I was there for it. Dude,
Yeah.
Yeah.
a quick thing on the dreams thing. My mom, she's a little out there. I love my mom, but she's a little crazy sometimes. She had this little book of symbolism for dreams, and it would tell you exactly what. It was like a dictionary essentially. It's like, oh, your dream featured trees. You want an abortion. What? And they would just.
I mean, this is the same woman that had Jor's pee at her house, right?
Yeah. And so whenever I would have dreams
Underneath
that
the
were
floorboards, baby.
particularly memorable, if I told my mom, she'd be like, you had a dream that you were swimming? Wow, okay. So you're a homosexual. And this is why. Water represents dicks. Swimming represents sucking. You're sucking dicks in your dream. Wow.
All right.
Tyler, it's okay.
What?
It's okay. It's the right time. It's the right month for that.
No, it is the right month for that. Sponsored by the gays.
I don't know
You
if
took
can
the
put that
whole.
in there.
You took the whole rainbow. You had to. You had to take the entire thing. That's okay. I like the rainbow. Taste the rainbow. But like,
So this last question really got me. I don't know why you asked if it's okay to kill homeless people, and you included a JPEG file of you murdering a homeless person.
I know.
Like-
I was very confused when I saw this. I mean,
so I like to you know, you gotta understand. This is the boiling pot. This is the United States, and people can choose their own path. It is a real life RPG, and some people they choose that path.
If Jeffrey
and,
Dahmer can eat people,
others.
why can't you?
I mean, listen. I saw a video today of a guy in Portland who was swimming inside of a urinal, or not a urinal, a porta potty that was put up on the road. He was swimming in the bottom of it, and he was yelling. And you know, I don't think that anyone's gonna target them. I think that, you know, it's sad.
What was that? What?
That actually happened. It was a TikTok.
Oh my
It was I saw it on TikTok. It was awful, and I felt awful for the guy because I don't know what was going on through his
No, I gotta
in his
find
head, and I'm sure it was rough. But the guy was totally swimming inside of the bottom of the porta john, and it was disgusting, and it was grotesque. But you know, that poor guy, you know, he's homeless over there, so. That's not actually what the question is, but that's a good
Oh my gosh.
that's a good way for me to get to the third
Did you
question.
find it?
There's so many videos for swimming in toilet. Why? Why are there so many videos for that?
Yeah, man, it's a hobby, I guess. At this point, people are doing it for fun, I guess. You know, quickest way to the bluest water around. You got to catch them on Tuesdays. That's refill day. So, question three is, you know, in your opinion, what could or should be done about the current homeless issue in this country? Because, you know, we all know that there is an issue with homelessness, and I don't mean an issue as in like they're a problem. I mean the issue is what's causing the problem. And so I'd like to know, what, in your opinion, what is causing that problem, and you know, what could we do to sort of hinder it in some way so that these people have a little bit more of an opportunity. You know, I know that there's a lot of them, and a lot of people are born every day, and you know, a lot of homelessness is growing in a lot of different places all over the country. So what do you think we should do about that situation? And you know, Hunter, I actually, you know what, I should probably answer this one, shouldn't I?
Go for it.
Yes.
I didn't think about that. I didn't think about my own answer and answering first on the last question. I was like, yeah, Hunter's probably going to do this one because, first, second, third. But I guess, in my opinion, it's not really a question of... You good?
Yeah, I was stroking my mustache to see what you guys would do.
Curl the ends maybe a little bit. I don't know. I'm getting my hair cut tomorrow. I'm excited about it. It's hard to say where I'm going with it. It's going to be costly, and I'm excited for it. It's very overdue. It's long and scary. So
I feel you.
Homelessness. Speaking of haircuts. Well, that was a rough one. I'm sorry.
That's a great segue.
Right in the middle of a drink. I'm sorry. That was a rough one. Please, I hope that people laugh about that. If you're homeless and listening, reach out and I will put together a goodie bag for you. I promise.
Sponsored by homeless people.
So, I don't really want to necessarily get into what we think what I think the issue is, because politically it's a difficult stance. Are you recording right now?
I had to show
You
Tiffany.
gotta send a picture to
I
Tiffany.
had to show Tiffany what I was
Oh.
doing. That way she doesn't think I'm cheating.
Oh, you're not cheating. Maybe you're cheating on her with the boys
Wait,
on
do you
a
want me to put
Wednesday,
pants
on a
back on so you can
Thursday.
take a better picture?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I'll uncurl my toes now, sorry. So the homelessness in America, it's hard to say because, people can get down to the politics of it, but I'd rather try and find solutions for it without having to get political, because it's just a rabbit hole. Everyone says it's the other person's fault, and I don't know enough about every single level of it to say my opinion on air or recorded to however many people listen to it. But I will say that what should be done about it. I think that it's pretty obvious that the funding for it is lacking in a lot of different areas and a lot of different places. And I think that the money is going in very strange places, because I've seen some recent structures that were built that cost $13,000 a piece, and I think this was in San Francisco, or maybe it was Los Angeles, but there was a thing it was for homeless, and they cost $13,000 a piece. That's what the government paid for it or whatever, and these structures were pitiful. It was
$13,000 for homes. So it's gonna be pitiful.
Yeah, but it was a shack, man. It was a shack with an AC and 2 beds, with 1 outlet.
For $13,000?
That's a lot more. That's a lot more than what some homeless people have.
I'm impressed with
You can buy-
$13,000.
Right,
No,
there's
that's
some
not-
AC units alone that cost $13,000.
No, the issue was though that they were all right next to each other. There was like 30 of them, and the money didn't add up. It should have only cost like a quarter of that or something.
A quarter
like
of $13,000 for a shack with an AC and an electrical distribution
You-
output and grading and probably a sewage, I'd imagine. That is not $13,000. If it's $13,000, that is cheap for
It
a
is.
shack,
Man.
especially in
Honestly,
California.
really is.
Dude, you get that shack that's probably selling for $600,000.
I'm gonna have to find it, because when I read it, it blew my mind. And now that when you're saying it back to me, it sounds ridiculous when you're saying
So
13,000.
if it was like
but-
130,000, then I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's insane. But 13,000, I'm like, for access
It's really
to
not that
a
bad.
septic system, access to electrical power, AC, the actual, like the permits that have to go into building a domicile in California alone are going to cost way more than 13,000. Like,
Yeah. Dang. I gotta Google this.
Okay.
There goes Alex's whole argument.
I don't want to derail your argument.
It's so
I-
no. I mean that it's not really an argument. I don't claim anything too heavily. I was just trying to. I'm just dumb. Like I said, I'm very ignorant about this answer, and so I was a little disgruntled answering. I was very curious to hear your guys' answers because I needed to get a little bit more details on it, I guess.
I think
but
I have a very bad habit of getting stuck up in the specifics of like the number of 13,000. I would remember. I don't know any specific numbers at all, but I think the point of what you're saying is that the government doesn't put the money to use efficiently or in the right location to solve the homelessness problem.
yeah, and that was my whole point. I didn't mean to get very specific about it.
I'm sorry for laser focusing on that.
No, you're good. You're good, and that's why I said I don't want to get political one way or the other because it's not. It doesn't matter where it's located if it's not allocated accordingly. It's just embarrassing.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's clearly not solving the problem.
It's a disaster. No, it's not. So, I'm going to go ahead and spin this off to Hunter, though. But just let him answer while I'm looking something up really quick.
Sure. So, my take on this was... Okay, so I wasn't necessarily thinking of, like, how do we prevent homeless people, but more of, like, the epidemic of the growing number of homeless people and how we can, help those that are already homeless. Well, I mean, the first thing I did a quick Google search. Just, like, literally it was my first Google search. I typed in programs for homeless people. And there are so many different programs, and there are grants and all kinds of things that people can take advantage of if you need to, given by state government as well as federal government. So those things are already in place. I mean... Besides that, we have shelters and things of that nature and whatnot, and I just don't think a whole lot of stuff is being taken advantage of. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not what people think to do when they become homeless, but one thing, let me think. Sorry, my thoughts just got like way out of order. New York, I don't know if you knew this, but with the whole COVID outbreak and everything, New York actually took all their homeless from all the different bureaus and stuff, and they put them all up in hotels near Times Square and everything, because all the hotels are empty. And so they actually housed all the homeless up in hotels and stuff for free, which was pretty great. But once everything ended, they didn't take anybody back to where they came from, so like all the homeless are right now just in Manhattan. And that's kind of an issue. But New York also does have a thing where if you can show that you have family living anywhere else in the U.S., they will fly you there. So all you have to do is let them know. So, like I said, I think there are things out there for people, and people might not be taking advantage because they don't know about them. So just a simple Google search goes a really long way.
Well, I think that also leads to the whole... not having access to Google and
everybody
stuff,
has access to Google. There's public
Yeah,
libraries,
you're not wrong.
There's public businesses everywhere. I mean, if you want to, you can get on the internet.
Yeah, you're not wrong, honestly. I mean, I just mean that somebody could come at you and say, like, well, not these homeless people don't have access to this, but, libraries and different things like that. I mean, it's easy to do it. Or ask a stranger, maybe.
Yeah, there's tons of homeless people. And, I mean, my brother was homeless for a while. And, I mean, there's so many homeless people that have phones. Because, I mean, while you can't buy a house, you can afford a phone, And the issue that I think I'm having, and I watched a documentary on this at one time, it was actually showing that a lot of the homeless people, not a lot, there are some homeless people that you see on corners and stuff, that are begging for money or asking for money that aren't actually homeless. These people,
a lot of them,
especially in like high transit areas and like it was places around like New York and Washington D.C. and stuff where like people actually make good money standing out on the street, and there's actually people that are quite wealthy that are doing it to supplement their income, and it's just it's blowing my mind because I mean it's not right, and you're distorting numbers and everything, and it's not right. And going off on something else is, when we give each other these questions, I like to sit here and I talk with Kayla, and I'll ask her and get her input on what she thinks of things. And something that she brought up that I think is really good is, I think if we want to help out, a homeless issue, I think we need to start looking at some other issues that are contributing, and I think that would be, like drugs and things like that, because, habitual drug users and narcotics and all that, it's putting people out because people are spending all their money, they're being put out by families and everything, and I mean, that's what attributed to my brother's homelessness, is because he couldn't stay with my dad anymore. None of my family wanted him because of the things he was doing. And, it got to the point where he was living out in a tent in the woods. And it's just what happens. And so if you want to fix this problem, I think there's a lot of other problems that we have to focus on first, things that are attributing to the homeless. So that's my whole spiel. I've been kind of all over the place, but
No, you're good, man. I think that having a grounded, empathetic view of it is the best way to do it, because it's obviously it's obviously an issue, and we all think that it's an issue, and people get so wrapped up on it just being an issue and not why it's an issue. Mm-hmm. And unless these people have resources and ways to get help and ways to get help before they get to the point of being helpless, and are not helpless but homeless, sorry, then it's just going to be perpetuated, I think.
I'm curious. You said you talked to Kayla beforehand. The New York statistics with her recent trip. Did she provide those, or was that the Google search?
So like the whole New York thing with them staying in hotels and stuff, that was actually provided by her, because she talked to somebody there while she was there. But then I think I said something else. Oh, the thing about them flying them out to their families in New York, that was actually from Google or something like that.
I didn't know that was a thing.
So, yeah. I forget who you have to go to. I mean, you could probably just go to the police station or something.
Andrew Cuomo himself. You have to walk
Yes.
straight up and say, "Please give me a ticket," and be like, "I'll tell you what about a ticket. Don't you touch this."
Andrew Cuomo's not going to be in office for much longer, is he? Didn't he just get in trouble?
Yeah, a while back he got in trouble
think
for
so. Yeah.
sexually harassing an intern.
Sexually harassing.
And
Yeah.
they called for his... Oh, and, I mean, probably bigger than that is his whole nursing home scandal. Oops. I should have mentioned that first, but, yeah. There were talks of impeachment, but I think they kind of fizzled out. I don't know.
Jeez. It's a mess, man. It really is.
Were you able to find what you wanted on your Google search?
I couldn't find it, man. I couldn't find it. I guess I made it up and I was wrong. Sorry.
Do you have access to Google? Because that's really hard to come by these days.
Well,
I'm using DuckDuckGo.
I do not think that you are wrong by any stretch that the U.S. government spends money inefficiently and in the wrong places, and I think that's the argument you're making, which is a correct one.
I definitely
Yeah,
agree.
it was. I got way too specific with it, and I should have, like I said, it's very easy to get biased about certain things. And, that's just something that jumped out at me, and it blew my mind. And if I can find it, I'll send you the actual numbers for it, because I'm sure that it's still not that mind-blowing, because I'm used to how much things cost around here, I guess. But, it is still really interesting to see headlines about government spending and where it's going, and you're just like, man, it seems like they're wasting money somewhere.
Well, they're wasting money everywhere. What are you talking about?
So, I'm excited that I get to end the show with my response, or at least I get to be the last formal response.
Yeah, you do.
It's an honor. But are you guys ready for my response? Are you?
All right, guys,
All right,
that
hang on.
concludes this episode.
So,
Okay,
Yeah,
no,
go
man.
ahead, man.
I'm kind of surprised that we haven't touched on this actually, in this answering. But whenever
RuneScape.
I can think of a pinpointed time in history that homelessness has taken a marked rise and hasn't decreased from since, it would be Richard Nixon's administration whenever he made a coordinated attack on mental health facilities and said, we're going to defund mental health facilities. They're a drain on the economy. And at the time they were. And if you look back, honestly, the type of penitentiaries that people talk about in movies and stuff are creepy as hell. You think of people get detained, and I think in a way that's effective propaganda from the day of defunding these mental health facilities. Because without appropriate, like, there were penitentiaries all over back then. Where's your closest penitentiary? Where's the closest mental health facility to you right now? I have no clue. I don't know if you guys know.
It's about
No idea.
Shut up, Hunter.
minutes
Shut
away.
up, bud.
Maybe
I only
the
know
top
because
floor
Kayla
of the
did one
local,
of her clinicals there, so.
the top floor of the local hospital.
I think there's
That's the closest.
some people who fall on hard times. They have those resources that they can get back to. And at least I hope that those resources exist. I believe they do. It's the thing that helps me sleep at night, is to think that some of my tax money goes to help people who are truly in need. But it's not just to me about having access to Google. There are some people who don't have the mental faculties, or people who are so severely mentally ill that it's the only option that they can put themselves in. I'm severely empathetic to those people. I wish that they had better resources. I know through a little bit of research that there is not sufficient resources for those people in any state across the country. And realistically, it is a funding issue, like you both have talked about. It is putting money in the right place. There are plenty of programs that do help people who fall on hard times and need to get back up, but there are not as many programs for people who are incapable of helping themselves.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think
Basically what you're saying is we need to reopen Shutter Island, right?
correct, so that, what was his name? Detective DiCaprio can get a lobotomy. Lobotomy should be free. The top 1% are taking all the lobotomies. But yeah. So my answer would be that I believe. So another thing is panhandling compared to the homelessness epidemic. I think are two mutually exclusive events. What we interface with for homeless people is the people who walk up to you and ask you for $20. That is not necessarily indicative of the homeless problem as a whole. And I think that sort of only interface that we have leads us to be mistrustful or in some way spiteful of homeless people. But realistically, what I think about when I think of homeless people is the people who cannot fend for themselves, the people who are mentally ill or mentally challenged in some way,
and super unlucky.
They just don't have the capacity to get themselves out.
When you think of it, pretty much everyone, I think, has to some degree in their family or in a mutual accomplice someone who cannot take care of themselves. And if those people don't have family, don't have anyone to take care of them, they're homeless. They're that person.
Yeah, man.
So that's a dark ending, but I think that the appropriate way to approach the homelessness epidemic, I think that we do have appropriate avenues for people who are struggling, need help, and are completely capable, but I do not think we have enough resources allocated to people who are incapable. And that ties into a lot of other things.
And maybe a lot of it ties into, who's paid off at what level, and, where all the money flows in general. And honestly, man, not a lot of attention is brought to how people get to this position. And, like you said, a lot of it's so situational. And think about how hard it is to wake up some days. Now imagine now we're no longer selfish, privileged Americans, and now it's really hard to actually wake up every day. And, you wake up to street traffic because it's 2 feet away. You unzip your tent that was leaking all night and soaked you, to the bone. That, I can't even imagine what that's like. And, of course people get annoyed at panhandlers and stuff, but, I believe that, you can, if it's pretty obvious that, if they've got new shoes, I'd probably move on to the next one, But it's like, I've when I was in LA, Tyler, that guy yelled at me.
Hey, fuck
he
you.
Said, yeah, man. He was like, I walked past him and he goes, "Hey," he's like, "Hey, you got any change?" And I was like, no, man, I don't have any cash on me. He goes, hey, F you, man. And he just like went on to smoking his blunt while I walked down the street. And I'm like, I mean, if I had cash, I probably would have given it to him,
Yeah.
a little
Do you have
bit.
Square?
Just because the guy looked
Can I
like he was. Yeah, but it's pretty obvious that guy, he's probably been through some really tough times.
Nah, he's just an
A
asshole.
lot tougher than getting flown out to LA for enjoyment. He was stuck there. And that's an expensive place to get stuck, and I that guy obviously, yeah, it's hard to say what he would have done with the money, but that's not really up for me to decide. It's like a judgment call, But at that level, I think that the majority of people, other than the ones, obviously you got your ones at the intersections that you see there all the time, and it's really hard to tell. But I think for the majority of the time, people are really just trying to make it, and they shouldn't have to struggle as hard as they do. It's really difficult to say what the exact solution is, because it goes in all the way down to where you were born. So what do you do about it, really?
I don't know. The real answer to this is I don't know. And
Yeah.
I can talk about what I think makes it worse, but I don't know what would solve it.
Yeah. I know that homelessness is getting worse and worse and worse, and it's not, there's not really any plateau in sight. It just keeps getting worse. And that's why I refuse to say that it's a left or right center issue. It's an issue with we gotta entrust people that actually care for this, and the judgment calls have been pretty bad lately.
This is where, Tyler's already talked about it, and I've talked about it lots of times before, but I feel like we need to make mental illness and mental health a much more widely spread and widely accepted issue. Something
man.
that needs to be talked about a lot more and, dealt with. Some people are ashamed to deal with it. Some people are made to feel like they're unjust in dealing with it. It's just, we need to make it a much more prominent issue.
Alex's phone is
Hi,
dead.
Alex.
Oh no, guys, my phone just died, but I'm